Hi everyone. So for this week I finished the 4 optic stands that I'm doing for a customer. They are done and I'm not going to show you what they look like. You'll have to watch until the end of the video to see what the end product looks like. I'm quite happy with it, especially the gold leaf. Came out very nicely. I just want to share something with you. One of my friends and a follower of this channel of ours, he says that I use the words "so guys" quite a lot. And suddenly I realized that yes, it's something I say quite a lot, and he wants me to make a t-shirt that says "so guys" and then sell it as part of the shop's merchandise. So leave a comment, tell me what you think. Who of you will actually buy a t-shirt that says "so guys" and then of course the little wood shop or something. But yes, grab your cup of coffee, let's finish those optics. Guys, here I'm still working on parts for MC's mountain cannon, stuff that he brought now for me. What I've done here, I cut the curve out of this and just around on that end and then around on that end, and I just put it on this to make a mark to copy the cut from that one to this one. So I'm going to cut this corner, that corner off, and then this piece out. Let's get to the bandsaw. Wow, that's the 2 pieces matched and made from Maranti for MC. This is again for the mountain cannon, and this will be the legs that the cannon stands there. I'll try to show you a picture of where this is going to go. But I left some sanding work for MC. The basic shaping is done. He can do the final shaping once he's put his metals on. Another job done. So to get these things polished is quite a mess. I tried to get it into my large jaws on my chuck, but it's just too big, it doesn't fit. So guess what, we're doing this by hand now, and as you can see the difference, I've polished this one is not polished. There's quite a difference, and I promise you I will never tell somebody again I'll polish them for you. This is a horrible job. I'm a woodworker, not a metal worker, and next time the customer will polish these themselves. But I started with these, I'll finish them. And now I also noticed why these have been written off or decommissioned. They all got cracks here. Now that I polished it, I can see the cracks. I'll see if I can get a close-up photo for you and show you. But now we know why they've been decommissioned or taken out of service. So I'm going to show you now how I got to this, all by hand. I start off with a bit of a rougher Scotch-Brite, then an ultra-fine Scotch-Brite, then 1200 grit sandpaper, and then normal standard brass soap with a rag and polish. That's quite a mission. Let me show you how I've done this. So guys, to get it from this to the shiny one, all I've done is this. In this case I've taken a maroon Scotch-Brite, cut it in half, the sheet, and then especially like this one is very pitted, very rough. So to get it clean, I take my orbital sander, took the disc off, put that down and start sanding. don't know if you can see, this has still got some very deep marks. So just keep on going. That's now all the pit marks out. There's still a bit of a deep mark, but that we won't be able to sand out. Just the same one. And then in those corners, only by hand. And then of course, once you sand it in the short direction, you'll have to go back and try and get rid of all those marks so that the sanding direction all stays the same as far as possible. I'm going to take the ultra fine and sand it out. Once again, it works the same as sanding paper. You just go to a finer grit to get rid of the previous grit's sanding marks, scratches. So all you do is making the scratches finer and finer until you can't see it. And it's a messy job. I just take my 1100 sanding paper, very lightly, just rub it to get all the sanding marks in the same direction. Nice. Then the brasso. A bit cleaner rag. And there you can see this one's crack is sitting on this side. And that's now one little part. turn it and continue. That's going to be the process for all 4 of them. I'm not going to bore you with that. See you in a few hours. So guys, the polishing is going on, but just to show you, for example, this black marks is especially difficult to get out. It takes loads and loads of sanding to get that out and to get it there. So I've marked the base of the brass tube, and as you can see, I hope you can see the marks I've made that the Lazy Suzan is going to be on. And then I just take my punch and I just punch a starter hole to give my drill bit a seating place to start. Then with a bit of cutting fluid in each hole, I then start drilling. So I put my drill on a slow speed, but with high pressure. Guys, I've drilled all the holes, and now I'm starting to tap. Now the way I do it, I just get the tap started in the hole, so I can feel right it's starting to cut. Then I add a bit of tapping fluid or cutting fluid, and once again, a lubricant is not a cutting fluid. You want it to cut, not to glide or to slip. So then I start cutting the thread. And then every now and then when you feel it start getting stiff, just give it a half a turn back. You'll hear it break off the little threads inside. And then just continue going until you're through. That's the way I do it, and it works for me. I'm no engineer, I'm definitely not fond of steel work, which this classifies as, but I've now done a few of these, and this seems to be the easiest way to do it. And luckily for me, this is a soft metal. I think with a harder metal it will be a different story. So we are through. Now we just exit. And then one thing you must remember is to clean this before you start the next hole, because it can really ruin the next thread. But that's how I thread my holes. So all the holes in the shells are drilled and tapped, and now I'm starting with the bases. Quickly drilled all the holes. I made the hole a little bit bigger because it's quite a finicky fit to find the hole in the shell once this is fitted. So I'm ready now to put the bearings in for the final time, but first I can do any of that. I must finish all of these because I need to varnish them, sand them and varnish them before I fit the hardware to it. So I'm quickly gonna sand all of it, varnish them, and then I'm going to fit the bearings to the shells. Then also on the shells themselves, I'm considering to tap the holes, just use a countersink and countersink the hole where I tap just a little bit to make locating the screw so much easier. I hope it's going to work. It's no use I ask you to comment, because by the time you watch this, this will be done. But I think it's gonna work. I can't see why not. I'm gonna try it. Guys, I don't know if you can see this, but everywhere where I touched it while I drilled and tapped, it tarnishes very fast, the brass on these things. So what I've done is, I take my bandsaw again, start cleaning it without touching it, and I just put the little bearing underneath to make it easier. And then I take normal metal clear coat, varnish, and I just clear coat the whole thing. So that one is done. I'm going to do this one quickly with a clear coat, and then clean this one of all the finger marks, and then clear coat that as well. That should stop it from tarnishing wherever we touch it with our sweaty fingers. So guys, that's now all the space together for these optic stains, and as you can see, I've varnished all the wood parts except for the tips. Me and Koenraad is gonna do this with gold leaf, the ends. That's gonna look more like brass, closer to the shells themselves. I've mounted the bearings to the bottom blocks, and I hope you can now understand the concept of how I want to do it. You screw them down to the base, then there's one hole drilled right through, so that you can then from the top screw into the holes that we drilled and tapped in the bottom of the shells. I countersunk all of them just to make location of the bolts easier, and I must say it works actually quite nice. I left one shell unpolished to give an idea of what it did look like and what it looks like now. That's the unpolished one. I still have to polish this one, and it's quite a difference. The clear lacquer that I put onto it gave it a bit of a satin color, which I actually quite like, because the wood varnish I've put on here is also a satin color, so there's not too much gloss in this. I then went and bought solid brass screws with round heads. I don't know if you can see that. And that's what I'm going to drill 4 little holes on these to screw the tips and hold them in place. These are then the little bolts that we're going to screw through into the shells. So that's all the parts. I'm quickly going to just finish everything. I'm going to fix these to the shells. First I'm going to drill the holes, then I'm going to fix them to the bases, then me and Koenraad will do the gold leaf. After that we'll fix them permanently, and then the final one will be the bottom base that goes like that. So in the end the whole thing should be looking something like that. Wrong bit. I'm not sure which one it is. It's going to look like that, and it's going to swivel. So let's start assembling. So to make it easier for myself, I just put a piece of double-sided tape on the screwdriver so that I can keep the screw on there when I locate it to the hole. I just then find the thread, and I must say the little chamfer works a charm. I don't tighten it all the way, just down to the bottom, so that I can spin it to where the next screw is, to line that up. There we are. Take another screw. So me and Konrad, we did the gold leaf on the tips of all of the turned pieces. I didn't record it because it was the first time for him and for me playing with gold leaf. I will sometime later do a video on gold leaf once I've learned a bit more about it, but I think it came out quite nicely. So now the next thing is we must mount this inside the shells, and we must get it straight, otherwise it's gonna not rotate nicely. So my plan for that is, and I think everybody knows it, you just take a page and you line it up, and as soon as you line the two edges up properly, you got a horizontal line. I just make my marks, little marks with a pencil, and then I drop it in the shell up until just the mark is below the surface. I then drill and screw. And another thing, guys, because I'm using solid brass screws with a round head, I pre-drill the hole first with quite a big pilot. Because it's so easy to damage the head of these soft brass screws. So the screw must go in nice and tight, but not so that the screwdriver damages the head of the screw. Just so that it looks nice and pretty. So then, guys, to mount that onto the main base, all I do is double-sided tape. If I can find the edge. This is thin painter's double-sided tape, and I just glue it down, or put it down. Two pieces. So I'm far from the edges. This really goes close to the edge. So I then put it down where I would like it. Then I got some time to move it until I'm happy where it's located. Something like that. And now I can just flip it over and screw it from the bottom. One thing we must keep in mind when screwing these is to stay far away from where the bearing is. So I just screw in the four corners, and that should do it. So guys, that's them then mounted. They're all now fixed, screwed, and on bearings. I must say I'm not very happy with the Lazy Suzan bearings. They've got a bit of slop in them that I don't like. A good friend of mine, Johan Besaidnout, said he had some bearings made by engineering place where they used then big car bearings. But I got a quote from one of the engineering places here in the city, and the price for one of those is going to be as much as I charge the customer for the whole of this. So that would raise the price. If it's for myself, yes, I'll do one, but to do 4 for a customer, it's going to be very expensive. So yes, but I think it's going to work nicely. All of them turn. The last one, this one the customer will finish himself. He's got some different ideas there. So this thin one, there's some different ideas, but these 3 are now complete and done. And I think I like the gold leaf on the tips, gives it an extra bit of something. So please guys, comment, tell me what you think of this.